Emuna. Kategar na'aseh sanhedrin. Adam she'omid ledin beveis hamishpat. So if a person goes ahead and stands in din, a person is summoned to judgment in the court. Nimtza b'mivchan shel emuna. So a person ultimately again is found in a test of emuna. Va'alav lifal al pi shloshes haklalim shel emuna. And again, remember, what he's talking about over here is if a person goes ahead and finds themselves summoned to judgment, so the Mechaber is saying the message that I'm supposed to take from that is ultimately, again, that I'm being placed in a test of Emunah. And whenever I'm placed in a test of Emunah, my goal is to operate based on the three foundational pillars of Emunah. What are the three foundational pillars of Emunah? Number one, that everything's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Number two, that ultimately, again, all is L'tova, all is good. All is good. And number three, that there is a message or a meaning in everything that occurs. He says, Alav ladas, sheyesh alav din lamala. So what's the message I'm supposed to take from it? He's suggesting that if I find myself, being summoned to din in the earthly world, then ultimately, again, that's a sign that I'm also being judged above. In other words, that what's happening here is mirroring what's happening above. Lo mishana imu chaf nepesha va'al pi chukei hamedina amar hu latzei zakai o imu asham al pi chukei hamedina. Therefore, again, it makes no difference, as the Mechaber, although listen to these words carefully, says it makes no difference if you're guilty or if you're innocent. Ve'en lo shum sikuyim latzei zakai bedin b'chol ofen sheyeh hu tzarich lasos tshuva shahari ma'os simlo min Hashem b'ramazim avim sheyesh alav dina. So what the Mechaber is just pointing out over here is something interesting, which is that, again, everything that happens to us here in this world is some type of sign, is some type of siman, ultimately to what it is that is happening above. So a person finds themselves in trouble with the law, a person finds themselves being summoned to din, summoned to judgment in this world. The Mechaber posits that perhaps, again, remember, the Mechaber, as wonderful as he is, not Navi. So he can't tell you why things are happening. What he's giving you an example of is the way to look at a situation in order to be able to glean some type of deeper meaning. He goes on, so therefore, again, if I find myself in trouble with the law, so to speak, in this world, there's a simon that perhaps there's din against me above as well. Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to tell me that there's some element of judgment that I have to deal with, that I have to reckon with above as well. Person has to know that if indeed he is struggling with legal matters here in this world, the resolution of those disputes are really decided above. The kasheru omer lifnei shofet basar v'dam ba'os sarega shoftim oso bebeis din shamala lefi hazechuyos ulefi achovos shelo. And amazingly enough, in that moment, ultimately, again, when you are being judged by someone, know that, when you're being judged by a human court, know that in reality, your merits are being weighed by the celestial court. You could always, he says, well, if that's absaktin shenifsak bebezdin shalmala, and in accordance with the psaktin, in accordance with the judgment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's bezdin, Noznin believe hashofet bebezdin shamata. The Ribbon Shalom will put the wisdom in the heart of the judge here below. In Latov or the Rachas Shalom. If I've often found this interesting. If you ever go to jury duty, if you go to joy, the great suchos, the person has to fulfill their civic duty. It is a suchos, Baruch Hashem. We have an opportunity to participate in a process. But it always struck me how, again, if your number is called and you go in for jury selection, so it's an incredible musar how all of this power is vested in this person on the bench. And the truth is, there's absolutely no way to know. Good person, not a good person, And it strikes me also because, remember, we're in the middle of Sanhedrin. So if you notice again, Judaism, we don't have courts of one person. We have for certain things like for Hataras Nedarim, for annulment of vows, you could go to a Yachid Mumcha, but for any kind of real case, you always have a group. You always have three, or more. Obviously, in capital cases, much more like we've seen. And it always struck me that here I always imagine, like, I don't imagine, but I could imagine being one of the defendants in some of these cases. And okay, of course, there's a jury, but this person wields so much power. And if you've ever been on jury duty and you see, sometimes you run across judges who are not so nice. I mean, you run across people who are not nice in general, but then you see a person who's curt, who's a little bit abrupt, and you wonder, my gosh, you're sitting there like a melech on the throne. You have everybody's getting up for you, sitting there. Why am I getting up for? I mean, I don't know who you are. I don't know who. You see, like, you realize you're mamish biyad Hashem. You're in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Mechaber is just saying, if you find yourself, halav, we should never find ourselves, sitting there. Jurors is fine, but in other capacities we shouldn't find. But understand that there's a message, that there's a din that's happening about me from above, and number two, the resolution of that is very much in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lachin adam hama'amin lifnei shaholech lebeis hamishpat af al pi sha'oseh shtadluyos begashmius. So when I have to go for judgment, even though, again, I'm going to put in my hishtadlus. And what's my hishtadlus? Kigon shesocher praklet tov v'chadom. I'm going to hire a good lawyer. In other words, even though I believe that everything is in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at the end of the day, I'm not just going to walk into court saying, Ribono shel olam, I know you have my back. I have to put in my hishtadlus. Hu yodeh ne'emana she'ez beis din shel mala ef shel ramos. He knows that you can never fool the celestial court. V'shum tachbula shel kof lamed beis. V'shum tachbula shel praklit lo tishana es psak hadin shel mala. And ultimately, again, even the best of lawyers will not go ahead and change the decision of the Beis Din Shel Mala. U'kefi sheyifseku lemala v'chein yeh psak hadin lemata. Lachin ikar hishtadlusa itzel HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'akovea matihiyena totzaos hamishpat. Therefore, it's important for a person to realize that at the end of the day, it's going to be the Ribono Shel Olam who makes the decision. Gan kasher hu yodea shapichukei hamedina ein shum sikuy mlatzes zakai b'din. Sometimes a person is faced with a circumstance where he realizes there is no good way for me out of this situation. Meaning, chances are I'm not going to be found innocent, right? Meaning, when I look at it in a tevadik way, in a normal fashion, I don't see how I could emerge from this unscathed. Person doesn't become overwhelmed by this. Rather, a person confesses his sins before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Person asks for forgiveness. He accepts upon himself to fix his ways, and not to return to do them again. And he accepts upon himself all types of positive kabbalas. It's like what the Mechaber is describing over here, and again, we're just giving many different examples for the same thing. But understand this incredibly exalted level of living, where a person lives in such a way where he recognizes that all is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all is L'tova, and there is a message in everything. And it is my job to figure out how to extract the message, how to grow from the circumstance, and ultimately how to bolster my emunah. That's my avoda in every circumstance. So I find myself in the court of law, it must mean, or it could mean, that there's din against me above as well. The Rebbe Shalom is judging me as well. Well, what do I do when HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges me? I do tshuva. What's the impact that tshuva is going to have on my court case over here, on my earthly legal affairs? That remains to be seen. But lemaisa, that's my goal. V'gam kasher yodea. Let's just read one paragraph. And again, I will say the reverse is true as well. Person, let's say, knows with absolute certainty that Emir Hashem, he's going to be zakai b'din. He's going to go ahead and be found innocent. He doesn't rely on this by itself. Ki hare eino yodea in bebeis din shamala hu yetze zakai. V'mchas shalom yichayvu oso bebeis din shamala. V'hechrech yichayvu oso gam lamata. Af shu be'emes chaf mipesha pichukei hamedina. So we'll say the idea of he's saying is that in the earthly court, if it looks open and shut, it looks easy, don't rely on that. Because understand, the resolution of this case is going to be fundamentally and profoundly rooted in what HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides. Therefore, again, I have to use this as an opportunity to perform tshuva. I have to use this as an opportunity to turn myself around. I have to use this as an opportunity, ultimately, again, to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'cheinu osa tshuva b'chol ofen, v'mekavesh shebemishpat ha'amiti shebe'emes koveh b'sham yitzei zakai. And my kavanah ultimately is not simply just to emerge from the earthly court case, zakai, innocent, but ultimately, again, to find my way back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to engage in proper tshuva, and to get the innocent verdict from the Beis Din Shel Mala as well. Plus, we'll stop over, we'll pick up with paragraph Bevadai Emir Hashem tomorrow. All right, we'll say good morning. Good morning. Let's begin. I want to thank Greg and Rachel Levitan for dedicating this shir this morning in the as a mazel tov to our mishpacha on the occasion of the engagement of our daughter Shani to David Lassen, the son of Kaya and Johnny Lassen. Baruch Hashem. Thank the Levitans very much for the sponsorship. Halavai the Chassid Kama should be zocha to stand under the chuppah together. B'Shem Tova u'Mitzlachos. All right, we'll say let's begin. Let's begin. Mem Dalid Amud Aleph. Second line. Chati Yisrael. So we'll remember again. We're focusing a little bit on the episode with Achan. And remember again, Sefer Yoshua, Achan partakes of the spoils of Yericho, Mem Dalid 44a, second line down. Achan partakes of the spoils of Yericho, which was prohibited. As a result, when the Jewish army goes out to war against Ai, the city of Ai, they suffer casualties. Yoshua is told, ultimately, as you saw yesterday, somebody partook of the spoils. They did the whole go-roll, they did the whole lottery, and Achan is found to be guilty, and now we're picking up on that story. So Chata Yisrael. So Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Yoshua that Klal Yisrael has sinned. So Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Abba bar Zavda, Afa pi shechat Yisrael. We will say, by the way, these are such beautiful Elul Gemaras. Right? So what does it mean Chata Yisrael? Here's the Gemara picking up on. Even though they sinned, the Ribono Shel Olam calls them Yisrael. Calls, right? So what do you see from here? You see that Yisrael, Afa pi shechata Yisrael. Even though a Jew sins, he's still called Yisrael. That even when we make mistakes, the Ribono Shel Olam never excludes us. Even when we make mistakes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu never chas v'shalom ejects us from the cloud. But Yisrael, Afa chati Yisrael, Afa pi shechata Yisrael. Beautiful Gemara. Am Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba says, Hainu da'amri inchi. This goes along with the famous colloquialism of people. Asa dekai beini chilfi, asa shmei. Even a myrtle branch that is among the willows is still called. Is still a myrtle. Is still a myrtle. Va'asa karale, and its name is called the myrtle. Otherwise, we'll say another way of saying once a myrtle, always a myrtle. So the idea being once a Yisrael, ultimately always a Yisrael. Incredible Gemara. The Gam Avru Esbrisi Asher Tzivisi Osam. So remember again, Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Yoshua, and they have violated the covenant that I have commanded them. Gam Lokhu Min HaCherim. They took from the Cherim. Right? The Cherim refers to the property of Yericho, which was off limits. Gam Ganvu. They stole. Kachashu. They denied. Samu Bekelehem. They placed in their utensils. Amar Rabbi Eli Mishra Rabbi Huda Bar Misparta. From here we learn that was like the fact that Achan took, what the Gemara's understanding over here is the following. Achan's taking of the spoils of Yericho was a manifestation of a morally bankrupt attitude and personality. So the Gemara now is going to discuss all of the other averos that unfortunately Achan engaged in. So the Gemara says Achan in fact violated, when it says he was over on Chamishech, which are the 5 Chumashim, which means Achan was over on Kol Torah Kula. Right? He violated the entire Torah. Where do we know this from? Shene'emar Chamisha Gam. Because it says the word Gam 5 times in that pasuk that we just quoted. It says Gam 5 times. What's unique about the 5? What's unique about the 5 is that he violated the entire Torah. V'am Rabbi Eloi, Mishum Rabbi Yehuda bar Misparta, Achan Moshech bar Lasohaya. Achan tried to make himself look uncircumcised. What's the point of making himself look uncircumcised? He wanted to hide his Jewish identity. Ksiv hacha v'gam avru es brisi, v'ksiv hasam es brisi hefer. So it says, agam avru es brisi. They went ahead and they violated my covenant, and it says ultimately again as brisi hefer in Bereshis. Just like bris in Bereshis is referring ultimately again to bris milah, so it's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that Achan negated the bris, it means he tried to hide the fact that he was circumcised. So the Gemara says, Pshita, meaning, isn't that obvious? What does it mean, isn't that obvious? At the end of the day, once you tell me that he violated all 5 of the Chumashim, that he violated Kol HaTorah Kula, so that he made himself try to look uncircumcised, what's the great Chiddush in that? To which the Gemara says, I might have thought, Ma'od B'Tema, B'mitzvah Gufei Lo Pakar. I might have thought that although he violated the Torah, when it comes to a mitzvah on his body, he was not, Chas V'Shalom, he did not try to go ahead and negate that. Kamash Mala know that even a mitzvah bigufo, even a mitzvah of his own body, he tried to negate. V'chi asa nevala b'Yisrael, and he committed this nevala, right? This travesty in Klal Yisrael. Really, we'll say nevala doesn't just mean a travesty or iniquity. Nevala usually means something of immorality. So Rabbi Abba bar Zata Malamed Shaba'al Achan Na'ara Hamurasa. The Achan had relations with a girl who was betrothed to someone else. Ksiv hacha, it says here. V'chi asa nevala, uksiv hasam ki asasa nevala b'Yisrael. So both say the Gemara is using the lashon ultimately again of nevala in both of these contexts. It says nevala by the Nara Hamurasa, who was violated by another man, and it says nevala over here by Achan. Pshita. So both say what the Gemara is saying over here is, I don't understand. Once you tell me that Achan violated Chamishe Chumshei Torah, that he violated the entire Torah, so what's there to talk about with all of these specific averos? Once you tell me he violated Kol HaTorah Kula, he violated everything. Ma'odutema Kule Hailo Pakar Nafshem. We'll say, even Jewish Rishab are tzaddikim. Even a Jew who's struggling a little bit with his ruchnius, or even a Jew who's struggling a lot with his ruchnius, like he doesn't keep the Chamishe Chumshei Torah. It's a pretty significant struggle. But Lamaisa, we assume even such a person like that has their limits. They might be a sinner. But every Jew always has that thing. He's not gonna. I would never do that. I'll do everything else, but I would never do that. So we might have thought that again, an act of adultery. So Achan wouldn't do. Kamash Malon know that he did. So the Gemara said the following: Ravina says, "Dine kinara murasa." The biskila. Achan was judged like a na'ara murasa, the same way that a man who violates na'ara murasa, or a na'ara murasa who willingly engages in relations with a man who is not her husband, is killed with skila. So too Achan was killed with skila. Amalei Rish Kalusa Rafuna. Right? The Rish Kalusa said to Rafuna. Amalei Rish Kalusa Rafuna. Ksiv. It says, "Vayikach Yoshua es Achan ben Zarach ve'es hakesef ve'es ha'aderes ve'es lishon hazav ve'es bana ve'es benosa ve'es sharo ve'es chamro ve'es sono ve'es ha'alo ve'es kol ha'sherlo." So the Gemara says the following. The pasuk says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yoshua took Achan the son of Zarach, and took all of the silver, the clothing, the bars of gold, his sons, his daughters, his oxen, his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, everything he owned. Everything he owned. So says the Gemara, if Achan sinned, ultimately again, why are his sons and daughters considered to be culpable? To which the Gemara says, but one can give you a better argument. If Achan sinned, why was all of Klal Yisrael held accountable? Remember, we saw before that what happened? That first of all, Klal Yisrael was brought out to the execution of Achan. Not only that, but as we're going to see, 36 soldiers died in the war of Ai, seemingly because of the misstep and mistake of Achan. To which the Gemara says, rather, ultimately, again, Moshe Rabbeinu tells all of Klal Yisrael, together with Achan's family, to assemble by Achan's execution, Lir Dosan. Look at Rashi, Lirdosan, Shiru Eskilkulon, Vizaru Ba'asman Velo Yosifu Lim Ol Becherim. Ultimately, again, he wanted everyone to see what was going to happen to Achan. For what purpose? So that ultimately, again, they should not repeat the same mistakes. We'll say this is a general idea as to whenever we punish, we always punish in a very public fashion because Lamais, at the end of the day, it should serve as a deterrent for future negative behavior. V'yisrifu osam ba'ish, v'yisku osam ba'avanim. So we'll say, so the pasuk says that Chosh Baruch Hu assembled all that belonged to Achan, burnt them in fire, and stoned them with stones. The Gemara says, I don't understand. And the Gemara says, B'tarti, why do you have to stone them and burn them? To which the Gemara says, Amar Avina, Haroi l'sreifa l'sreifa, Haroi l'skila l'skila. Those things are both said that could be burned were burnt. In other words, everything that Achan owned was destroyed. So those things that could be burned, like clothing and things like that, were burned. But those things that could be stoned, like livestock and other things, were stoned. Ve'era b'shaval aderes shinar achas tova u'masayim shkalim kasef. So we'll say, so the pasuk goes on and says that in the spoils that Achan took from Yericho, they saw an aderes shinar, which was, again, so we'll discuss this in greater depth, some type of crown, some type of beautifully jeweled crown, u'masayim shkalim kasef, 200 shkalim of silver. So the Gemara says the following: Rav Amar, Itztala de Milsa. What's this Aderes Shinar? So Rav says Itztala de Milsa. If you look at Rashi, he says Talis Shel Tzemer Naki Ben Yomo Shemechabnin Oso Lamilas Mabishan Lavo Mabishan Levush Shelo Yislach Lut Samro. So we'll say, so this apparently was a fine woolen garment. Shmuel Amar Sarbala de Tzirfa. Shmuel says no, that it was a woolen garment that was colored with some type, Rashi says over here, Savua b'tzrif shekorim alum. So colored with some type of alum. Okay. So the Gemara says, Vayatzikom lifnei Hashem. They went, so Yoshua brought them before God. Amar of Nachman ba v'chavtam lifnei hamakom. So we'll say, this is actually an amazing Gemara. Yoshua brought the items that Achan had stolen, and Yoshua brought them and he threw them down before God. Meaning almost like Yoshua, we're going to see, was angry. He took them and he threw them down before the Ribono Shel Olam. And he said, Amar lefan of Ribono Shel Olam, al elu tehari gruba shel Sanhedrin. Because of these things, because of these few things that Achan took, the majority of the Sanhedrin should be wiped out. So what does this mean? Because the pasuk says that in the battle of Ai, they lost 36 men. So 36, he's using that number to represent the majority of the Sanhedrin. So because of these things, because Achan took these things, 36 people, the majority of the Sanhedrin should die. V'tanya shloshim v'shisha mamish. So it says, Rabbi Yehuda, we're going to have a machlokas. Rabbi Yehuda says, literally 36 men died in the war of the Ai. Amar Mechemya, dichi shloshim v'shisha hayu. Did you really think 36 men died? V'halo, we'll say first wide line. V'halo lo ne'emar ela kishloshim v'shisha ish. But if you look at the pasuk doesn't say 36 men died. Rather, what does it say? Like 36 men died. Who are like 36 men? Ela ze Yoir ben Menashe. This refers to, we'll say, one man died. One man died in the war of Ai. His name was Yoir ben Menashe. Sheshakul keneged ruba shel Sanhedrin. We'll say was as virtuous and as holy as the majority of the Sanhedrin. Amrav Nachman, Amrav. So Rav Nachman is the name of Rav. Mai tichsev tachnunim yedaberash va'ashir ya'ana azus. We'll say, what's the meaning of the pasuk from Mishlei? Literally, tachanunim yedaberash, that supplications, I should say, the poor man will speak supplications, va'ashir ya'ana azus, but the rich man speaks in stronger or more abrasive terms. What does this mean? So the Gemara says, tachanunim yedaberash ze Moshe. So we'll say, so the poor man literally speaks in supplicatory tones. This is Moshe Rabbeinu. The idea is that when Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he spoke always in a calmer, softer tone. Va'ashir ya'ana azus, and the rich man will speak in more abrasive tones. Zeh Yehoshua. But so this is a reference to Yehoshua based on the previous Gemara, came and was really upset at HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says, because of these things, he takes the things that Achan stole. Because of these couple of things, you're going to punish Klal Yisrael in such a dramatic way. To which the Gemara says, my time, from where do you know, ultimately again, that Yehoshua spoke in a strong way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? If you want to say, because the pasuk says that Yehoshua literally placed them down, or really put them down in a strong fashion before God. Rav Nachman, Ba v'chavtan lifnei hamakom. Right, and then Rav Nachman said that what did Yoshua do? Yoshua brought the spoils that Achan had taken, and he threw them down. Chavtan literally means like slammed them down in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a display of wrath. Atu Pinchas lo Avid Hachi. I don't understand, but Pinchas also took this approach. What happened with Pinchas? Tichsiv vayamod Pinchas vayipalel vateatzer hamagefa. The pasuk says, and Pinchas stood vayipalel. We'll discuss what that word means in just a moment. And the plague started to say this is after the episode of Zimri and Cosby, right? Remember again, after the episode of the tribal prince of Shimon engaging in public immorality with the Midianite princess, there was a plague that gripped Klal Yisrael. Pinchas kills both of them, stopping the plague. So the Gemara says, what does this mean? We normally, even the Gemara understands, Vayama Pinchas Vayipalo means he davened. So Gemara says it doesn't say he davened. That would be Yispalo. It says Yipalo. What does that mean? Melamed Sha'asa Pelilos Im Kono. Rather, I will say what it means is he entered into judgment with his creator. What does that mean? Entering into judgment means he entered into an accusatory mode with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He brought the bodies of Zimri and Cosby. He threw them down before God. Amar Lafanav Ribono Shel Olam. Al Elu Yiplu Esem Ve'arba Elef Miyisrael. Because of these two, 24,000 Jews should die. In other words, so Pinchas came almost like in an accusatory fashion with the Ribono Shel Olam. Dichsiv Vayu HaMeisim HaMagefa Arba Ve'esrim Elef. The pasuk says that those that died in the plague were 24,000. The Elamehacha Lama Ha'avarta. So rather, the pasuk says, Lama ha'avarta. I'm sorry. Lama ha'avarta havira sa'am hazeh asayardin. So we'll say, so Yoshua says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu something amazing. After they suffered the setback in Ai, see how I have to understand something. Klal Yisrael was promised that we were going to overtake Eretz Yisrael with no problems. No problems. Obviously, we have to fight. But Lamaisa, there were promises of no casualties. There were all these promises. When they had 36 casualties in the Ai, and remember again, the Ai is only the second battle in Eretz Yisrael. They're new now. Again, they're fresh off the victory with Yericho. But Lamaisa, this was a major setback. So Yeshua essentially says, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why did you cross us over? Why did you cross us over the Jordan? Right? Why did you bring us over the Yarden? For what purpose? So the Gemara says, Moshe Nami Meima Amar. So the Gemara is using this as right that Yoshua spoke sharply with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Gemara, well, Moshe Rabbeinu also spoke like this. Lama Hari Osa La'am Hazeh. Ultimately, again, Moshe Rabbeinu says the same thing, right? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu threatens to punish Klal Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu says, what are you doing? What are you doing? El Mehacha V'luhu Alnu V'neshe Be'evra Yarden. Yoshua says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what? If you weren't going to fight our battles for us, it would have been just as easy for you to what? To leave us in the Transjordanian lands. Just let us live on the other side of the Jordan. Vayomer Hashem Yoshua, kum lecha. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says back to Yoshua, get up, good up, kum lach, get up. So what does this mean? I both say the way the Gemara is understanding kum lach is God is saying, Yoshua, you're putting all the blame of this at my doorstep. You share some of the responsibility for this setback as well. What does this mean? God says to Yoshua, your role in this setback is even worse. In other words, you have greater responsibility in this setback than Klal Yisrael. How so? So both say, remember again, Kadosh Baruch Hu commands us that when we cross the Jordan, we are to go ahead and set up 12 stones. And on those 12 stones, we're supposed to record the entire Torah. Again, possibility also in 70 different languages. And you were supposed to do that on both sides of the Jordan, but you were supposed to do it immediately upon crossing. So the Gemara says, Va'atem richaktem samech mil, basar denafik okim. And you first traveled 60 mil, and only then did you set up the stones. I asked you to set up the stones immediately upon crossing the Jordan River, and instead you traveled 60 mil. I'm angry at you. So the Gemara says, Rav, I'm sorry. Okay, Rav Amore Alei, V'darish. So we'll say, so Rav set up his Amore, and he dashed in the following idea. Kasher tziva Hashem es Moshe Avdo, kein tziva Moshe es Yoshua, v'chein asa Yoshua. Lo hesir mikol davar shetziva Hashem es Moshe. Im kain ma Talmud lomar amar le ata garanto lahem. So what's it? Listen to this. So it says the Gemara, I don't understand. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Navi explicitly says that in the aftermath of the death of Moshe Rabbeinu, Yoshua was appointed as leader, and what? Yoshua did everything that the Ribono Shel Olam asked of him. If Yoshua did everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked of him, so how is it that God is laying blame at Yoshua's feet for things that have happened to Klal Yisrael? V'hainu deka'amar lei, boi v'asis la'ai ulamalka, kasher asisa liyericho ulamalka. So let's listen to this. So I'm sorry, let me just go back for just a second. Amar lei, atagaram talahem. What the Gemara is answering over here is the following. What is going to HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Yoshua? It's your fault. So what he's saying is like this, and this is actually amazing. If you look at Rashi, atagaram talahem, shelo hayulacha le'esra leihem, bizas yericho. This is amazing. God Rosham never instructed that there should be a cherem on the spoils of Yericho. The Ribono Shel Olam never said, cherem, remember again, is when you can't partake of the spoils. The Ribono Shel Olam never gave Yoshua that instruction. That was his own thing. Yoshua made this decision. Again, he's entitled. He made this executive decision that the spoils of Yericho should be cherem. So the Ribono Shel Olam says, what happened with Achan was your fault. I never told you to make the spoils. I never told you to make the spoils into a cherem. You did that of your own volition. Who told you to do that? Who instructed you? Again, it's your right. You're within the confines or within the framework of your powers as the leader. But who told you to do this? There's enough stuff that's usher already. You don't have to start adding on more isurim. And because you did, Achan therefore stumbled. Therefore, Yoshua, you could be upset at me. You could think that I'm taking this too far. But at the end of the day, you're the one who created the circumstance. How do we know that Yoshua was the one who created the cherem? So the Gemara says, "V'hainu dekam lei boy va'asisa la'ayu l'malka kasher asisa liyericho l'malka." So ultimately, again, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Yoshua, "Do to the eye and its king, just like you decided to do to the Yericho and its king." So Gemara is dashing in the pasuk, just like you of your own volition decided that Yericho should be cherem. So now I, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm saying you should do the same thing ultimately for I. So the Gemara goes weiter. Vahi bios Yoshua Yericho. So continuing on going back actually a little bit. While Yoshua is still in Yericho, so what happens? He lifted his eyes, Vayar, and he sees. Now the pasuk over here is quite dramatic. Vayar. So ultimately, again, he sees a man standing opposite him with an outstretched sword. So can you imagine the scene? Yoshua, by the way, is alone. He sees a man opposite with an outstretched sword, and he has one simple question. What's the one simple question? Friend or foe? Right? Are you with us or are you against us? So says the Gemara, Vayomer lo, I am not against you. Ki ani sartzeva Hashem. I am one of the angels of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Atabasi, I have come now. Vayipol Yoshua al panav vayishtachu. Yoshua therefore fell on his face. He prostrated himself. He prostrated himself before the angel. So Gemara says, Heichi Ovid Haki. How did Yoshua do this? In other words, what I was asking over here is, how is it that Yoshua bowed down to someone at night? After Avaham Rabbi Yochanan, the person should not give shalom to his friend. I will say, what they're talking about over here is a person should not greet his friend at night using the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Chashinan Shema Sheidu. Because maybe it's not my friend, maybe it's a shade. I will say, the idea over here is, this is talking about, obviously, again, in more remote areas, where shadim often frequent, whatever that means. And again, obviously, the illumination is not so great. Obviously, you see someone at night, and you know he's not a shade, you can give him shalom aleichem. But the idea is, what the Gemara is saying over here is that Lamaisa, again, how could Yoshua have bowed down to someone who he did not know in the darkness? Though we not have to be choshesh that perhaps it was a shade, to which the Gemara says, Shiny Hasam de Kamarle, Ani Sartzva Hashem Atabasi. Well, it's different because why? This being identified itself as one of the angels. So because it identified itself as an angel, Yoshua believed him. V'dilma Meshakri. I maybe, Shadim aren't always known as the most upright, trustworthy entities. So perhaps it was a shade, but he was lying. To which the Gemara says, Gemiri, So you said it's incredible yisod. Even if you're a shade, even shadim, there are certain things that I'm not going to do, even though I'm a shade. And one of them is they don't use HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name in vain. So when this entity identifies itself as Sar Tzvakos Hashem, Yoshua knows that it's a Malach. Amrle. So we'll say, so now the obvious shaila is, Malach Hashem, welcome. Why are you here? Why are you here? So Amrle, Emesh bitaltem tamish al bein harbayim, va'achshav bitaltem talmud Torah. So the Malach says, I'm here because Yoshua, you are mevatel two things. You negated two obligations. Number one, yesterday, you did not offer up the daily communal sacrifice, the afternoon tamid, and that was yesterday. And tonight, the people are being mevatel Torah. Tonight, there's no battle going on. The people should be learning, and instead, they're engaging in bittul Torah. So the Gemara says, Yoshua says to the Malach, Nu al izim and basa. Tell me, so I understand we violated both of these things, but which one are you here for? In other words, what Yoshua is really asking, I will say, is which one is more severe? Okay, I understand. We missed the carbon, yesterday's carbon, that we can't fix. We should be learning now, we're not learning now. Okay, so tell me which one is considered to be more severe? To which the Malach says, Amrlei atabasi. I have come for the iniquity of now. In other words, I've come now because of bittul Torah. Which, by the way, is an incredible yisod. The Torah tells us by the Jewish army, V'haya machanecha kadosh. Haya machanecha kadosh. They were fighting battle that day, right? They were fighting war that day. So you could imagine, again, after a day of fighting, they're exhausted. That's fine. But when the Jewish soldier is not fighting, he has to make sure to find the time, of course, to sleep and to eat. That's not a shayla, but also to learn. But also, so the Malach is saying, listen, this was your first day as a it's not your first day in Eretz Yisrael as a formal Jewish army. V'haya machanecha kadosh. Ultimately, again, the chayal, the soldier, has to be able to learn when he's not on the battlefield. No one's learning. This is bittul Torah. Therefore, I'm here. To which that night, Yoshua literally means he slept in the Emek, in the valley. What does that mean? What it means, I'll say, Emek is a metaphor for the valley or the depths of halacha. That Yoshua led the people in communal Talmud Torah, ultimately, again, chasing away or dispelling any clouds of bittul Torah that hung over the people. Amr Shmuel bar Unyam Mishnei Dirav. Godel Talmud Torah, Yosem Hakravas Tamidin. What do you see from here? You see that learning Torah is even greater than offering up of karbanos. Where do we know that from? Shene Emar Atabasi. Because remember again, the Malach says to Yoshua, I'm here for two reasons. You did two things wrong. You negated the offering of the carbon tamid yesterday, and you're not learning Torah now. And Yoshua says, no, but tell me which one is the more grave sin? To which the Malach says, Atabasi, for the infraction that you're engaged in now. So you see from here that Talmud Torah is even greater ultimately again than offering of karbanos. Amr le'abayid Rav Dimi, Sabai said Rav Dimi, Haikra b'ma'arava b'mai mukmasle. So in Eretz Yisrael, what we're going to see, they used to explain the following pasuk in the following way. We're about to quote the pasuk. What's the pasuk? So we'll say the Gemara is quoting over here from Mishlei. It's actually a beautiful pasuk. Al teitze l'riv maher. Do not be quick to fight. Do not be quick to fight. Pen matase ba'achrisa. Because what will you do at the end of the fight? Bachlim oscha re'acha. When your friend embarrasses you. When you forget. So first of all, I'll say, just even without explaining the pasuk in a deeper way, Shalom Melech is teaching us some very good lessons. Don't be quick to fight. Because Lamaisa, what happens when you fight? We all know, I will say, that what begins in one way very easily descends into multiple other things, and people say things and do things that they very much regret later on. Riv chariv, listen to this. If you have to fight your fight, then fight. Riv chariv esreacha. So fight the necessary battles with your friend. V'sod acher al tagel. But never reveal the secrets of your friend. As I'll say, what does this mean? If you're having an argument with someone, you could have that argument with that person. Don't bring other people into the fold. And don't start revealing other people's information in the heat of the argument you're having with the individual. Now, what does this mean? Right? So Kadosh Baruch Hu is upset with Klal Yisrael. So he tells Yecheskel, You remember, Yechezkel is the Navi Hashem, and he's going to deliver a message of rebuke to Klal Yisrael. So get ready for this. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Yechezkel, go and tell the Jewish people that their father was an Amori and their mother was a Chiti. Now both say, now who is this a reference to? This is a reference to Avram and Sarah. This is the Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah Hayu Avoseinu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so upset that literally again he's maligning the Avos and the Imos, saying, look at you people, how could I expect anything better from you? You come from the Amori and the Chiti. I will say that that is a big shtach. That's a huge shtach, because it's not just the shtach against Klal Yisrael, it's the shtach against the Avos. Not only that, it goes against one of the primary principles that the Ribono Shel Olam himself espouses, which is lo sonu es hager. And I will say there is a very important mitzvah. It's a mitzvah v'yach lo'echa kamocha, but there's even a greater sensitivity that has to be expressed to the convert, right? And one of those ways in which that sensitivity is expressed is not making reference to their Gentile background, right? It's the same. So here you have HaKadosh Baruch Hu going ahead and saying, Yechezkel, tell those people who descend from the Chiti and the Amori, Avram Avinu and Sarah Imenu, tell them how displeased I am with them. So we'll say, this, by the way, is a wild Gemara. So the Gemara says, and Rashi points out over here, Avicha Amori, Terach ve'avosav miknan bo, right? Because Terach, Avram Avinu's father, and his forefathers came from Canaan. So Amra Ruach Paskonis. So we'll say, this is interesting. So a Ruach Paskonis. Now, the way to translate Ruach Paskonis, I will say, is a chutzpahdik malach. A chutzpahdik Ruach, a chutzpahdik spirit came along. Now, who is the chutzpahdik spirit? So Rashi says over here, it's Gavriel. So the Malach Gavriel, even though again the Bach changes it, he takes it out, but we'll go with Gavriel for now. So we'll say, the Gra changes it. He says Eno came, but we're going to go with Rashi, what Rashi says. So the Malach Gavriel, I will say, I guess there are certain Malachim who have a kind of closer relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam, that they could say things that you and I should not try. So the Malach, listen to this. So the Ruach Paskonis comes along and says, Ribono Shel Olam, Im Yavo Avram V'Sara V'Yamdu L'Fanecha, Ata Omer Lahem, Umachlim Osam, Ribono Shel Olam, Chutzpah. And if Avram Avinu and Sarah were here to hear you say this, would you say this in front of their face and embarrass them? So Gavriel says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Riv Chariv, if you have a fight with Klal Yisrael, go fight your fight with Klal Yisrael. Esreyacha, V'sod Acher Al Tagel. But do not go ahead and reveal the secrets of others. So the Malach is saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, if you've got beef with Klal Yisrael, good, take it up with them. Don't embarrass the Avos and the Imos. There's absolutely no reason for you to malign Avram and Sarah in this discussion. I will say, by the way, and you see this happens all the time, where people get into arguments, and then what happens? Well, you try to make your point. So again, well, you know, Chaya Bracha told me this, and then what happens? You just brought Chaya Bracha into this whole thing. Or, Reuven Shimon told me this, and so what ends up happening is the circle of machlokas is so dramatically enlarged because now ultimately again more people have been brought in. So the Malach says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you've got a problem with Klal Yisrael, keep it about you and the Jews. Keep it about you and the Klal. Don't bring in Avram and Sarah in this. Umi Islay Rishusa Kolehai. Does a Malach have Rishus to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like this? Ruach Paskonis had that just in. Then Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina Shalosh Shemos Sheyeshlo. This spirit, what the Gemara calls this Ruach Paskonis, has three different names. What are the three different names? Itmon, Sigron, Piskon. So the Gemara says, Yeshlo, Piskon, Itmon, Sigron. Why does it have these names? Piskon, Sheposek Dram Klape Mala. So it's called Piskon because it delivers some pretty harsh words to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Itmon, She'otem Avonosem She'Yisrael. It's called Itmon because it's able to go ahead and literally shut out the Averos of Klal Yisrael. Sigron, Kevan Shesoger Shuvena Poseach. Sigron because it is the greatest power of advocacy, and once this spirit finishes advocating on behalf of Klal Yisrael, no other malach, no other spirit can advocate on behalf of Klal Yisrael. So the Gemara goes weiter. So now the Gemara quotes the pasuk from Eov. Hayaroch shuacha lo b'tzar. So the friends of Eov say to him, literally translated, Hayaroch shuach, have you arranged your tefillah? Shuach is tefillah. Have you arranged your tefillah lo b'tzar, while you're not suffering? That will say what the friends of Eov were asking Eov was, did you daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu even before your suffering began? Amar Belazar, li'olam yakdim adam tefillah litzara. A person, I will say, should always be makdim the tefillah, should always go ahead and daven before the tsar. So we'll say, so what does that mean? How do you daven before the tsar? What the Gemara is teaching us is an incredible yisod. We'll say, sometimes people wait to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu until moments of tsar, moments of difficulty, moments of challenge. What the Gemara is saying is, don't wait to forge a relationship with God until you are in acute distress. But rather, again, first, number one, because often it doesn't work, when a person is in acute distress, very often all of their emotional and spiritual energy is devoted to just keeping themselves afloat. And often I don't have time for God. I'm just trying to keep myself alive through the day. But more than that, I will say, again, the goal is to create a meaningful relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu when things are calmer. That's the time. That's what it means to be makdim the tefillah to the tsar, to have a strong relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's not created in the midst of turbulence or difficulty, but that is created again during good and quiet times. So that unfortunately, when the turbulence does come, which inevitably it will, I already have that strong relationship that could serve as my anchor. So the Gemara goes right to the Gemara says, She'el male lo hektim Avram tefillah litzara bein beisel ubein ha'ai lo nishtayer merishe Yisrael sardapa. Both of this is amazing. Avram Avinu, when he's traveling through Eretz Yisrael, davens between Beit El and Ai, which is the area where generations later Yehoshua would lead the army. That was, again, coming full circle. That's the war where initially we lost 36 soldiers because of the sin of Achan, or whatever, 36 soldiers or one soldier. Had Avram Avinu not davened there and given a schus for Klal Yisrael in that makom, the losses would have been so much worse. Which Gemara is teaching another incredible yisod, which ultimately is that what we do has such a beautiful impact on future generations. Often we're not here to see it, right? Often we're not here to experience it. But when we engage in positive, dynamic, spiritual activity, the incredible positive impact that has on present and future generations, I will say, is often immeasurable. Avram Avinu davens. Does Avram Avinu know that he's davening for Yehoshua, that he's davening for his Einiklach because they're going to be in war against the Ai? I would assume not. But yet it was the tefillos of the Zayda offered so many generations earlier that ultimately went ahead and helped Klal Yisrael. An incredible idea. Rish Lakish Amar, Kala ma'ametz atzmo betfila milamata, ein lo tzara milamala. So that's another beautiful idea. Anyone who literally strengthens himself in tefillah in this world, no one could advocate against him in the celestial sphere. What does this mean? The idea being tefillah is a dialogical connection with the Ribono Shel Olam. Once I establish that relationship, then nothing else in the celestial sphere has the power to advocate against me. For one simple reason, I don't need them. I don't need them to advocate for me. I don't need them to advocate against me. Why am I saying? Because I have a direct relationship with Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is actually in Yana Dioma. In Slichos, there's a beautiful paragraph of Machnise Rachamim. Right? We say Machnisi Rachamim, Tachnisu Tfilasenu. So we speak about the Machnisi Rachamim, those who bring in the supplications. It's a reference to the Malachim. So the Tfilah is a quite beautiful one that we say to the Malachim, bring in our Tfilos, davening, bring in our Tfilos to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? So you know that Chaim Briska and others were very much against that Tfilah and did not recite it as part of Slichos. Why? Because they felt, I don't need to ask for Machnisi Rachamim. I don't need to say to anyone, Achnisu tefillah saying. I don't need to ask anyone to bring my tefillah before HaKadosh Baruch Hu for one simple reason. I speak directly to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't need an advocate. I don't need an intermediary. I do not need anyone to intercede on my behalf. All I need is to speak directly to my Father. And that's the Gemara saying over here. If I take my tefillah seriously, I establish this dialogical connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No one could advocate against me above because in the celestial sphere, because my relationship is directly with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Le'olam yivakesh adam rachamim, she'iyu hakol ma'amtzin es kocho, va'al yiyu lo tsarim milamala. Person should always ask rachamim. Ultimately, again, she'akol ma'amtzin es kocho. Look at Rashi. She'isayu malachi asharis, levakesh rachamim, v'shelo yu lo mastina milamala. V'haki mashma haya Shabbos. So now this is a different version. Rabbi Yochanan says that you should always akoma amtines kocho. Person should daven that although I'm going to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly, whatever angelic assistance I can get, I will absolutely welcome, and none of the malachim should advocate against me. So I will say, you see, there are these two different conceptions in tefillah. Reish Lakish says, work on your davening. Create for yourself a strong dialogical connection. And you have a direct connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's no need for any type of angelic intervention. And Rabbi Yochanan on the one saying, listen, sometimes you struggle with tefillah. Because you struggle with tefillah, the dialogical connection is not as strong. And because it's not as strong, I do need other advocates. And so there's nothing wrong with a person davening ultimately, again, that the Malachi Asharis should help me. I don't daven to the Malachi Asharis, but that they should help me ultimately, again, Levaki Shrachanim. They should help lift me up so I can come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So just two different conceptions and frameworks of tefillah. Good. So also remember again, the way we started with this whole thing is because the Mishnah said that before the defendant is about to be executed, we have him do vidui, we have him confess his sins. And anyone who confesses his sins is automatically forgiven in the world to come. So the way we learn this is from Achan. Achan confessed his sins, and Yoshua therefore said, you are forgiven. So it says, how do we know that Achan was forgiven as a result of his vidui? So Yoshua says, Achan, the same way you uprooted us, God should uproot you today. Hayom hazeh, so the Gemara says, Hayom hazeh ata achar v'ata achar li olam haba. Today you will be uprooted. In other words, Yoshua says to Achan, we're going to execute you, we're going to kill you now for your sin, but you are forgiven by God in the world to come. Ksiv, u'bnei Zerach, Zimri, ve'isan, ve'heman, ve'kilkal, ve'darda, kulam chamisha. So the Gemara says, my kulam chamisha. The Bible says, we're going to see Zimri is actually Achan. What does it mean, all five of the sons? Kulam chamisha and the olam haba. All five of Zarach's sons were B'nai Olam Haba. So from here you see also that Achan went to Olam Haba. So the Gemara says, Ksiv Zimri, Ksiv Achan. So we'll say Achan is known by two names. It calls him in this pasuk Zimri, but yet in Yoshua he's known as Achan. So which one is it? Is he Zimri? Is he Achan? Ravu Shmuel Chad Amar Achan Shmo. One says his name was Achan. V'lama nikra Shmo Zimri. So why was he called Zimri? Sha'asa Ma'aseh Zimri, because we'll say he committed the same types of immorality like Zimri, right? Zimri was the tribal prince in the story with Pinchas. V'chadam Zimri Shmo. Others say no, his name was Zimri. V'lama nikra Shmo Achan. So why do they call him Achan? Ultimately, again, she'ichin avonosei she'Yisrael. Because Rabbi say again, Achan, Rashi points out, there's also loshon achna, like Tanar shel achnoi, which also means a snake or a serpent. He literally encircled Klal Yisrael with his sin, just like a snake wraps itself around its prey. So Achan wrapped his sin around Klal Yisrael, and ultimately, again, we were held collectively accountable for his sin. In any other lisvados, Rabbi Yehuda Amar Lenakos Satzman. So also remember again, the Gemara also pointed out something very interesting here, which is the Mishnah said that when doing vidui, if the defendant is supposed to say, "Tehei misasi kapara kol avonasai," let my death be an atonement for all of my sins. So the Mishnah said, well, what happens if the defendant thinks that he's innocent? Right? He's saying that. So then what could he say? Tehei misasi kapara kol avonasai chutz mizum. My death should atone for all of my sins except for this episode. What do I mean except for this episode? Because I'm not guilty of this crime that I'm accused of. So Rabbi Yehuda said, if that's the case, that you let the defendant make a statement like that, then what Rabbi was saying, every single accused is going to make that same statement. Why? Because every single person, or most people accused of a crime and sentenced to death, profess their innocence until their very last breath. And therefore, also, if a person is professing his innocence, then he's going to lose out on the potential for kapara that vidui affords him. To which the Gemara says, "V'yinaku atzman." So what's the big deal? Listen, if the accused decides to claim his innocence until his last breath, then let him do so. To which the Gemara says, "Kadesh lahol tzilaz al batei din va'al ha'edim." We have to be careful also to maintain the integrity of the Beis Din and maintain the integrity of the witnesses. And that if every single person going out to be executed always does the same vidui, it looks strange for the Beis Din, looks strange for the Eidim. Turn Rabbanan. Also, listen to this Maisa. Tan Rabbanan. Maisa ba'adam echad sheyatza lehareg. So there was once a man who was being taken out to be executed. Amar, im yesh bi avon zeh, if indeed I am guilty of this crime, lo tehei misasi kapar l'chol avon asai. So also the man made a very dramatic statement. If I am indeed guilty of the crime you are accusing me of, and that I'm about to be executed for, then my death should not atone for any of my sins. For any of my sins. So it's a very dramatic statement. The man was saying, I'm unequivocally innocent of this crime. And the proof to that is I'm willing to make the statement that if I'm innocent of this crime, if I am guilty of this crime, then my death should not atone for any of my averos. So the Gemara said, but if ultimately, again, I am not guilty of this sin, then my death should be an atonement for all of my sins. And I hereby absolve the Beis Din and Klal Yisrael for the fact that they are putting me to death wrongly. But the witnesses who testified against me, who now, because of their testimony, will be subjected to death, they shouldn't be forgiven forever. They will never have my mechila. I will say, now when this statement actually occurred, so I will say, when this statement was heard, it was very jarring. It was very jarring. And as we're going to see, what ultimately happened over here, well, fine. So when the Chachamim heard this, they said the following. Now this is a very dramatic statement. I will say, for a person to make a dramatic statement like that, we assume that there must be something to his words. So, but to go ahead and bring him back to Beis Din, we can't do it because the verdict was already passed. And again, remember, there's no new information. It's not like he's presenting any new information. He's just making a dramatic statement professing his innocence. So to bring him back to Beis Din, we can't do. Rather, again, we're going to carry out the execution. But at the end of the day, literally the yoke is around the witness's necks. In other words, that Beis Din says, we really hope that the witnesses are telling the truth. To which the Gemara says, Pshita, but it's obvious you can't retry the case. So the Gemara says, Kol Kamine. The Gemara says, V'chi Kol Kamine. So we'll say, remember again, look at Rashi. So we'll say, the Gemara says, I understand the guy's making a dramatic statement, but why would we believe his statement any more than the Eidim? In other words, we've vetted the Eidim as we've seen, we've investigated their testimony. So obviously, just because he makes a dramatic statement before he's going to be executed doesn't mean we would believe him. To which the Gemara says, Lotzicha, listen to this. Tika Hadri Beis Sahadi. We'll say, what's the case over here? The witnesses were recanting. Whereas when the witnesses heard this dramatic statement that the person who's about to be killed, executed, it says, I am not mochel the Eidim. The witnesses said, you know what, we changed our minds. We changed our mind. We don't really want to be involved in this anymore. Now, to do with language, we'll say, sometimes a person realizes the severity of something and just says, I don't want this. To which the Gemara says, I don't understand. Witnesses can't recant. Kevan shehigid shuv eino chozer umagid. The halacha by testimony is, once you give your testimony in Beis Din, you cannot recant. You cannot recant. Again, remember, there's a vetting process. Once you pass the vetting process, your testimony is locked in. And even if you say, I recant, I changed my mind, we don't believe you. To which the Gemara says, Lo tzricha da'afagav dekayoivi taimelimusayu. The boss said the case over here, this is actually quite amazing, where the witnesses came along and said, you know what, we lied. And we gave false testimony about Reuben and the guys about the executed. We don't like him. We dislike him immensely. We lied about it, and therefore again we want to recant. They both say, the halacha is, even if witnesses come back and say we lied, right? We do not believe them. Once ultimately, again, testimony has been vetted and accepted by Beis Din, the principle is kevan shehigid shuv eno chozer umagid. Once ultimately, again, you've given testimony, you are not believed to retract, to recant, or to change that testimony. Therefore, I'll say, even in a case like this, although the accused is making a dramatic statement, and the statement obviously was so dramatic ultimately again that it jarred the Beis Din, it jarred the Eidim, and the Eidim wanted to change their testimony. The Beis Din said, listen, witnesses, you have an awesome responsibility on your shoulders. We truly hope you told the truth. In our eyes, you told the truth, but ultimately again the execution would continue. All right, we'll stop over here. Merit Hashem will pick up with the Mishnah tomorrow morning. Shkaya. I know. I ran out of time. Yeah, it's actually some incredible mice. Incredible mice. I'm gonna do it tomorrow morning.
Questions. I'm Brisker. What did you do with that Rashi about Malachi Sharis? It's against Nachlis Yerach. I mean, what's the shot?
Yeah, I don't know.
How about the other sheet?
The other sheet. I guess so. He held like Rabbi Yochanan.
The other Ahmed, Lamai says the Olavera of Yeshua is a Kokanis. The Rabban is not Chayav Nisa. Isn't it just a law? It says the Melech is more than Malchus.
So Aaron.
A Cherem. So Cherem is Chayav Nisa?
He made the Cherem Parashat Hamisa.
Oh, so he can institute.
Absolutely. Correct. Correct. It's not. So if you say it, I'm making the Cherem Parashat Hamisa. Absolutely, that has to do.
It's Din Rabban or it's Din Melech?
Malchus. I know.
So this is like worlds are colliding.
One question. JC. There's some that say it's not actually the first set. It's not him. Because of the timing of it. So
Correct.
It couldn't have been him. They weren't in the